Thank you for joining us today. My name is Douglas Breton, and I'm a clinical application specialist with Ramsoft. I'd like to start this webinar by posing a question. What is practice automation? Practice automation is the process of automating every step of your workflow, every step from order entry to patient billing. The theory is that by automating all of these steps and streamlining the processes, we can improve efficiency and maximize revenue. To do this, we need a solution that can transition the patient through the entire workflow. And this system has to also have the tools to manage billing and reimbursements from anywhere. Ramsoft looked around and realized that there was an unmet need in the industry for this type of solution, one that understands radiology. Now, we already had all of the patient radiology workflow tools, so we could process appointments all the way from order entry to report distribution. But we were missing the second half of this equation. And this is where Practice Suite came in. Practice Suite has all of the practice management and billing components that we were missing, so we combined forces and developed an embedded solution for radiology workflow and claims management. The result of this partnership is PowerServer RIS PACS PM. It's a fully web-based solution, so radiology practices can manage their radiology and billing processes from anywhere. Before we go any further, I'd like to introduce you to our guest speaker. She is someone who has quite a bit of practical experience with PowerServer RIS PACS PM. She's the president of Normac Medical Billing Solutions, and she is joining us today to speak on behalf of Emory Medical Solutions. Ms. Stacy Sharon, welcome.
Hi, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Stacy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you mentioned, I'm the owner of Normac Medical Billing Solutions. It is a radiology-focused billing service, and in addition to providing billing services, we also have a comprehensive set of options that we offer to our clients that help them maximize their revenue. We have helped, as you mentioned, we helped Emory Medical Solutions with their work infrastructure so they could achieve maximum results with their radiology workflow and billing processes.
Excellent. Okay. Now, Emory Medical Solutions is a long-standing customer of ours near Orlando, Florida. Stacy, can you provide us with a little background on Emory before we delve into their case study?
Sure. Emory was founded in 1993, and it was at that point called Cardiovascular Sonographers. They were the first ultrasound company in the Orlando, Florida area. They later acquired a local business in 2005 and expanded their services to become Emory Medical Solutions. They currently offer MRI, CT, DEXA, ultrasound, mammography, angiography, arthrogram services, as well as EMGs and nerve conduction studies and sleep studies as well. Currently performing about 30,000 studies a year. Emory has been a customer, as you mentioned, since 2008, but in 2013 they went on to expand and add the RIS PACS PM product, which we currently run today.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So now that we have some background, let's delve into the challenges Emory encountered with their previous radiology and billing workflow and the results since transitioning to PowerServer RIS PACS PM. Now, when we talked earlier, you said that there was a lot of room for improvement. Can you tell us about the problems Emory was dealing with by having separate radiology and billing solutions?
Sure. Well, we actually found a lot of problems when we first jumped in and started doing our research. We found that the EMR system was not radiology specific, so it left a lot of unanswered and a lot of gaps. Things were just not flowing through from one section to the other. We had password overloads. We can only have so many people in the system at one time, and then if we added any more users, they had to purchase more licenses, and those licenses got kind of costly per user. It was a manual process, so a lot of the stuff just didn't make it from one system to the other. Staff would forget to input data, and it just wasn't crossing over like it should. In fact, the data that we were getting was very inaccurate. It wasn't matching it. Possibly they could have entered it in one system, and it wasn't speaking to the other system, and it was transitioning old data instead of the current data that we needed to use.
Okay. So, now, we know that Emory was already using PowerServer Lite with an integrated EMR, and that created some challenges. Can you tell us about some of the technical advantages Emory has experienced since transitioning to PowerServer RIS PACS PM?
Well, it's nice to have one single sign-on to get into all the systems instead of having to log into 3 or 4 different systems. The data is real-time everywhere, so whether you're in the billing or you're in the RIS system, you're viewing the same data in real time. It is fully web-based, so when you have resources that possibly have to work from home for whatever reason, they're able to do so. The reports are amazing. It's easier to get the reports from one section to the other. Everything matches, whereas before we had problems because the systems were not integrated. We could never get those reports to match.
Okay, so now how about workflow? Now that all the patient data is in one system, what advantages did Emory find in having a fully automated radiology and billing workflow?
Well, that's probably been the area that's felt the most improvement. We, with the amazing workflows that we can run from RAMSoft, we can basically set up lists for our coders to work from, and as things are coded, they just move off the list and move right into the billing system and get transmitted from there. Whereas before, whether it was manual or if we were using another system, we had to run reports to make sure that things were crossing over because the other software sometimes wouldn't capture it, or if we were doing it manually, staff could possibly mark something as completed and then it actually wasn't completed. We were losing revenue because of human error, things that they just overlooked.
Oh, wow, okay. So let's take a look at the scheduler. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the front desk. How has the patient scheduler and the integrated billing components helped improve inefficiencies? Were there any issues with adoption?
Adoption was very easy. We were all concerned at first, but everybody thought that it was going to be this really hard process to move towards, but it actually made our life from day one easier. We have found that we were able to reduce FTEs by 3 FTEs at the front desk. We've created the work list, so they move through the process as the office should, from the scheduling to the eligibility and verifications, and then back to the front desk. So when the people at the front desk get the data or the schedule each day, and they're looking at the schedule, the things that have been approved for them to go ahead and confirm and to get the patients in, they are confident that everything is there and that nothing has fallen through the gaps. Because we do have these amazing work lists that we can set up for everybody, so everybody knows where somebody else is left off at the end of the day.
Okay, and so on the other side of that we have your claims management. Now it's good to see that the RIS PACS PM has brought them a lot of workflow benefits. Now prior to implementing, what was it like to process claims at Emory? What kind of challenges did they encounter?
Well, as I mentioned, it was a very manual process because it always starts with the front desk. Sometimes something was obtained at the front desk and the authorization staff didn't have matching data, so there were delays in getting authorizations, or the authorizations were issued and nobody realized because the workflow wasn't there that it was issued for something different. And then the charges, when we obtained them, we had to manually move data over, and it was just a mess basically. At that point, when you're getting bad data and transferring that into your system, you're basically transferring bad debt into the system because it's stuff that you're not going to be able to recover if you don't do it right in the beginning. And that's what we've been able to fix today. We're able to move accurate data and reduce human error, which was sometimes that could be the greatest threat to the industry, is the amount of human error that occurs. Now we have the system doing the scrubbing, the system checking everything, so we know that the data is clean when we're sending it into our billing product.
All right, okay. Now, let's discuss the reliability of the financial reporting tools in Emory's old workflow. What impact did having unreliable reports have on Emory?
Well, we spent a lot of time working accounts that were sometimes paid because the reports would never match or would show us that something was outstanding. So because of all the time that was lost tracking either payments that had already been received and we just couldn't retrieve the reports, or sometimes we ran the reports and it showed nothing was outstanding, and you run the same report maybe a week later and it shows that it was outstanding for, the balance was there for 2 years. So all that lost time basically created about a lot of bad debt because the reports were so unreliable. We could never get the reports to generate exactly what was in the AR.
Okay, so now you mentioned collections earlier. How did the inaccuracies in the financial data impact patient collections? Can you give us more detail on what was happening here?
Sure. Well, the system that we had at that time, like I mentioned, was unable to generate real-time reports. So when we would generate reports on what the patients had outstanding, and the collectors would call and try to bring money in, we found that later we would transmit statements, and we thought, okay, they should match what's in the reports. Statements would go out, and we would get phone calls from people telling us, upset because they had never seen a bill in 2 years. Somehow that billing software that we were using at that point was actually functioning like an empty box. We'd put stuff in it, and it would be empty. All of a sudden, it would be full. We'd transmit, and there's bills that we didn't know existed. And, of course, the patients were upset because they're getting billed 2 years later.
Yeah, that can be kind of aggravating when you're getting bills you don't owe. Now, PowerServer PM has a lot of functionality for billing. What features would you say Emory benefits from the most?
By far, the reporting. The reporting is amazing. I can run the report 10 times today, and every time I run it, it's always going to give me the same numbers. The collections manager, it's my favorite feature. You can go in there and you can set your parameters, and your billers can run these reports either based on what's denied, so they can run denial reports specific to the actual denials that are coming in. So there's no longer a need to keep a paper trail of everything that's denied for no authorization. It's in the system. They can just click one button and it's going to generate that report for them. Collector productivity, we can run reports on the fly and know who's done what their efforts are generating. And then at the end of the day, again, those patient reports, before we send out statements, we like to know what we're sending out statements for. So we generate those reports, we make sure that nobody's being billed inappropriately, and we transmit our bills. And when we send them out, we know that the patients are getting billed exactly for what they're supposed to pay.
Great. Okay, so now Ramsoft has developed some reporting tools to monitor business metrics. Now this includes accounts receivables and turnaround times. How has Emory used these tools to improve the claims management issues?
Well, at Emory, we use it more of a second set of eyes, if you would say. We use it to count how many studies we've done each month, to make sure that everything's being captured, although it's never been a problem, but we like to be cautious. So we've used all those reports to make sure that we're getting the same amount of exams in our billing product that are coming in through the front desk. Okay, so now with regards to ICD-10, how is Emory, or how will Emory be utilizing the native ICD-10 support to facilitate their transition? Well, for us, actually, it's not something that we've put too much concern into, because we've actually been using ICD-10 in the PM software now for over a year. It's been there, and we've become very accustomed to seeing it. So where other people have to learn it, we are using it already. There won't be the same transitioning for us that other clients are going to have. People who don't have access to it today, they may have a hard learning curve, but we've been using it for the last year. So for Emory, the transition will be very smooth. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so now here's the big thing. Efficiency. How has Emory's overall efficiency been affected by this transition to RIS PACS PM? Well, we've reduced our dependence on paper forms. The reporting and the processing of claims has become much easier. We've been able to improve turnaround times at the front desk and reduce employees, therefore, reducing our payroll costs. Charges posting used to be an all-day task. It takes only about a couple of hours now, 1 or 2 hours at most. Payment posting, same things happen with the payment posting. It could take hours. The other systems sometimes didn't let things come through electronically the way they should. We have ERA postings today, which are just one push of a button and the payments go in automatically. We just check them for any errors that come in through the ERAs, but for the most part we've never really had any problems, and things run really smooth. we're able to identify mistakes in the coding system. We love the alerts in RAMSoft, so we're able to set alerts when we're verifying benefits for the front desk so that they are aware of any special handling or anything that they have. There's no longer the, the little note CE. You can put everything in RAMSoft, and it's right there at their fingertips immediately to answer their questions. All in all, the report turnarounds and everything have reduced reschedulings and delaying patients coming in. So it's been amazing.
Okay, and well, with improved efficiency, of course, that usually means you have increased revenue. Now, how has the PowerServer RIS PACS PM improved Emory's revenue stream?
With the ability to collect copays at the front desk, it's helped dramatically, because as patients' benefits change every year, their deductibles and copays have increased. So it's so important that we are able to collect that at the front desk. And with the RIS PACS PM system today, we're able to notify the front desk exactly how much the patient needs to pay when they come in. We're able to verify benefits faster, so we can get those patients in the door sooner and get them scanned and get their claims out the door quicker. We've been able to reduce operating costs, payroll, IT management, office supplies, and like I mentioned earlier, we no longer have all the paper that we were using. Everything is done through the system now, and it moves very efficiently.
Okay, excellent. Now, finally, one last point. Now that we've talked about the challenges you faced with your old system and the benefits of moving to an embedded system, can you tell us about Emory's satisfaction with their migration to RIS PACS PM?
Well, Emory is very satisfied. In fact, I would safely say that if Emory ever decides to open another center, that he will continue to integrate his system with RIS PACS PM. The system has greatly improved the operating efficiency. We're pleased with how smooth the implementation went, and how quickly we've been able to improve revenue at Emory.
Okay, great. And I'd like to thank you, Stacy. I think the Emory case study effectively illustrates some of the big challenges many radiology facilities face today because of the fear of the changing out of the old software. Now, however, with a complete RIS PACS PM solution, the return on investment is very quick, as we've seen on today's webinar. With today's healthcare reform changes, the key to profitability is patient load. The only way to achieve that is with more efficient software. So, Stacy, I'd like to thank you once again for your participation in today's study. I have one last question for you. What would you want our listeners to take away from today's webinar?
I would want them to think about workflows. Having a good workflow that can be modified as the industry changes makes a huge impact, and having to only deal with one vendor is amazing. You can increase your revenue, and I think that's something that most of us would agree is a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. Now, Stacy, thank you again for taking the time to talk with us today. I'd also like to take a moment to thank all of our attendees for spending time with us this morning. We understand that your time is important, and we do appreciate your attention. I'd like to take this moment to give you an opportunity to ask questions you may have. If you look towards the bottom of the GoToWebinar sidebar, you'll see there's a chat window where you can enter any questions you may have. If you would rather speak to somebody after the webinar, you're also welcome to contact us at the email address or number listed on your screen. And lastly, before you exit this session, please take a moment to answer our brief survey. Thank you.